Hey guys, welcome to the FBC Youth World Changer podcast. Today we're going to talk about something that all of us have dealt with in one way or another, whether we admit it or not. It's the topic of peer pressure and identity. And so we're going to get into some things in a minute, but let me start by introducing myself. I'm Pastor Jeremy Craker. I am the youth and college minister here at First Baptist Church. I get to oversee FBC Youth, and I got my co-host right here, Miss Bailey Gates.
I'm happy to be here, guys. I'm grateful that you guys are watching this, and I can't wait to see how this goes and the conversation that comes from it.
We've got two guests with us today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So we'll start with you.
I'm Jaden Bencomo. I'm 16, and my school situation is I'm at UTEP right now. And
Wait a minute. You're 16 and you're at UTEP?
yeah,
How does that work?
peer pressure was too much, so I dropped out and graduated early.
That works.
And I've been here at FCB for a year and a month now. Not a year and a half. That's crazy.
Little over a year.
Little over a year.
We've been glad to have you.
Why are you laughing?
FCB.
It's close
Oh
enough.
my lord.
Okay, I'm Josiah Craker. I'm 15. I go to El Paso High School. And I've been going to this church for like 8 years, since 2nd grade. And I'm here because my dad's a youth pastor.
Oh, that's the only reason?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Bailey, you want to ask them some really tough questions to start off?
Yeah. Calm down, don't get too scared. We're actually just going to start with a casual question. I'm going to name 4 beverages, and you're going to have to choose one to throw out that you'll never drink again, hypothetically. Okay, we got sweet tea, Dr. Pepper, iced coffee, and energy drinks.
Sweet tea is gone.
Why?
Because unsweet tea is better, and it don't got enough caffeine.
This guy said unsweet tea is better?
No way.
Okay. All right.
And
We
I
respect
do
your opinion.
iced coffee. Because I don't like coffee.
Oh, man. That disappoints me.
I'm with you on that.
What would you
Actually,
pick, Bailey?
I think I'd pick either energy drinks or Dr. Pepper, because I don't drink
Dr.
either
Pepper.
of those.
Yeah, I'd be good with only keeping iced coffee from that list. Dr. Pepper close second, but the other two, they can go. But anyway, we're going to ask you guys a little bit of a different question next. Go ahead.
Yeah, all right. Next question's a little harder, and let's be honest about this one. What's the dumbest or like silliest trend you've partaken in? It could be like middle school, it could be recently, but we want to know.
Back in middle school, I thought I was a tough guy because I'd sag my pants to school.
That's rough.
I was so tough.
Okay. Josiah?
For me, I mean, if you count like haircuts as a trend, I guess like my side part over middle school.
Ooh,
That was bad.
that's rough.
I thought he looked pretty good, but
Every dad says that. Every dad says the side part looks good.
That's how you know it's bad.
No, that's like
parents
my mom had me and my sisters have a bob and bangs when we
Oh,
were little.
heck no.
Horrible. And she's like, it's so cute. No, mom.
all right. So clearly, we've all done some things that might be a little questionable. But, you know, that fits into our topic today about peer pressure and finding our identity. So I'm going to start off just by asking you guys, what are the things that you or people your age are most pressured by these days? And we're just going to jump right in. So just throw them out there. What are the big pressures that teenagers are facing these days?
Cussing a lot. It's like, it's normal to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say like fitting in, like doing stuff you don't usually do, just to like be cool.
What does
Most
that usually?
definitely.
What does that usually lead to? Like what ends up being cool?
Kind of like what you said, like cussing, like doing, like drinking, drugs, vaping. Like, I feel like that's a big thing, like for high school.
Yeah. Like things you know are wrong, but you do them anyway. Yeah.
Would you add anything to that list? You being in high school as well?
I think I say with girls because I'm mostly around girls, but I think that like changing your personality around the people you're with Like coming to church and acting one way, for example, or like going to school and acting a completely different way. I think it's easy to change yourself around certain people so that you don't feel left out or you don't feel like you're different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess another question that kind of relates to that is, where do you feel the most pressure? Like, do you feel pressure from friends? Do you get pressured from social media, the things that you're, partaking in with music or the videos that you watch? Where do you feel that pressure's coming from?
Definitely like friends, because you have like your work friends or your school friends, and they are very different from your church Christian friends, and you like tell them to chill out, but they don't really listen to you, and it's just like, and I mean, social media is literally everything is normalized on there.
Yeah. How about for you, Josiah? Where do you see most of that pressure coming from?
I would say like with like sports, because I feel like you kind of have to be perfect to set like a good impression for the coach, especially if like you're like a freshman coming in, and so like I feel like if you mess up like once, then that'll like bring you down.
So when we talk about like dealing with pressure, Bailey, you said a minute ago the idea of knowing some things are wrong, but maybe still being drawn into them.
Right.
So from your guys' perspective, like what makes it hard to say no to giving into some of those pressures?
Wanting to keep your friends. Because like if they were real friends, they'd listen to you, but sometimes you feel like you won't have any other friends, and you're just like, well, might as well, or I have to, or you want to impress somebody.
Yeah. So that fear maybe of losing those connections, losing those friendships, being kind of isolated a little bit or lonely.
Yeah.
How about for you, Josiah? Anything that makes it difficult to kind of say no?
I would like also say your friends, because you feel like some people like they completely change like their personality, like kind of like what Bailey said, like with their church friends are like super playful with them, and then like with their school friends it could be like with Jaden like sagging and like
Okay.
the cool kids. And so,
Mr. Side Part.
Oh.
So when we talk about that, I'm going to kind of shift the focus here. Instead of just talking about the pressures that you're facing, let's talk a little bit about how teenagers can stand firm and not give in to some of those pressures. So, Josiah, tell me about a time that you had to say no to something. What happened?
one time it was like last year, and then like my friends, they were all like going out to a party. I think it was like a bonfire that like it's not a school related event, but like the school like does it, like the people, and so like there's gonna be drinks there, and then some people say like sometimes it gets shot up. So I like, no, I'm not doing that.
That's crazy.
So you recognize some of the like potential dangers.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, I don't want to be in that situation.
I'm not gonna risk my life for that.
How about you, Jaden? A time that you said no to something. What happened? What were the circumstances?
For me, it was when I was playing basketball at Austin. I mean, you become a family with your team, right? But they all smoked a lot of weed, and they're like, "Nah, just try it, just try it." I'm like, "No." I told them my dad has a church, and actually, it became a good outcome because they came to our open gym, and then they all started coming to church once in a while. So
Cool.
I didn't lose anything that time, but which I'm very grateful for.
How'd that make you feel though? Like with that outcome, did that boost your confidence a little bit?
Most definitely.
Yeah. Did that shape you for future decisions?
Yeah, because they knew me as a pastor's kid or the church kid, and they wouldn't really try and tempt me or be like, "Hey, you should try this or that." They'd leave me alone about it.
That's cool. I like that. Bailey, I think you and I have talked about this in the past, or at least we've talked about it in the context of our youth ministry, but the idea of like standing up for who you are or like deciding who you want to be.
Right.
I think that's a good example of that. Have you ever experienced something similar to that where like you had already like established yourself as a Christian or somebody who doesn't do certain things? Did that make it easier to like kind of keep saying no to things?
I think, yeah, for sure. I mean, with prom coming up and stuff, there's definitely a lot of after parties being talked about. But I think that the people I hang around with, like, when it gets brought up in a circle that I'm in, like, I'm not even asked to go. And, like, I don't want to be asked to go, but I think it's cool to, like, think that they recognize me as the person that I show myself as. So that's pretty, yeah, I think that's cool. I think setting yourself up in front of people that you know can have a bad influence on you will make it easier to say no in those kinds of situations, and that peer pressure will kind of be gone because they recognize who you are. At least I'm lucky in that.
Yeah. I really like that. And if people are watching this, I just want to encourage you, like, decide who you want to be and like make that commitment. I've heard one of my friends say, plant your flag early. And that's like a reference to like a battlefield where you go and like, you plant your flag as a sign of like, this is going to be our territory. When you're in a school situation, you can plant your flag like, hey, I'm a Christian, or hey, I go to church. There's certain things that I stand for. And once you've outed yourself in that way, then it's almost like you have a responsibility to hold up to that. And of course, we all make mistakes and we can fall short of that. But I think once you've been more public about your faith, it's easier to stand firm. It's easier to set certain boundaries. It's easier to say no to things in the future. That reminds me of a few Bible examples about people who were able to stand firm in different circumstances. So I'm going to recap your memory a little bit on these, but the book of Daniel, we actually covered that on Wednesday nights last semester. So maybe you guys remember about Daniel and his friends. They decided to stand firm in a new culture. You know, they were taken out of their culture and they were tried to be indoctrinated into the Babylonian culture, and they stood firm with their convictions. Refusing to partake in some of the things that weren't even necessarily that wrong. They just went against their values and they stood firm in that. So that's one example in Scripture of just deciding to stand firm no matter what. Another story in the Old Testament is Joseph. And Joseph went to the extreme of like resisting temptation when no one was watching. He was taken out of his culture as well. And he could have given in and fit in, and he resisted that temptation. Later in his life, he actually ran from temptation, right? So he didn't just say no, he like got out of there so that the temptation wouldn't have any more power over him. And then in the New Testament, we see Peter, who actually gave in to pressure, right? You guys know where, Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Hey, weren't you the one with him? No, I didn't even know him. 3 times. But yet, he recovered and Jesus built the church on Peter, the rock, right? And so we see these different examples in Scripture of people who handled pressure in different ways, but God gave them the strength to really become who he wanted them to be. Any thoughts on any of those that you relate to maybe more than the other?
I think that Peter really represents, like, I guess, kind of the way that we fall sometimes and give into that and misrepresent ourselves. Because I've definitely misrepresented myself sometimes, and I think that seeing that example of he did deny Jesus, and he said he wouldn't, and he was very strong in it, and still did, and he still came back from that, and he had a really good ministry, an amazing ministry. So I think that's a good example of coming back from maybe giving into something that you really thought you were really strong in and that you wouldn't. Like going to a party or hanging out with the wrong crowd. I think that it's a good example of who recovering from maybe not living up to who you say you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to that in a minute because I think you just brought up a really good point. But for you guys, is there a Bible example, maybe Daniel, Joseph, Peter, maybe another one that stuck out to you that really kind of challenges you or encourages you to keep, resisting peer pressure and standing firm or recovering from mistakes?
Not gonna lie, we probably all have Peter in us, but I guess like trying to be like Daniel, because it is a lot of new stuff is happening. World changing way too much, but trying to like have people be like, oh yeah, he's a Christian, and not them being like, oh, you go to church, because like then you're not really showing your faithfulness. So trying to be like Daniel and be standing up to temptation and peer pressure in a new generation, basically.
Yeah, good. How about you, Josiah?
I would say, so like Daniel doesn't really relate to me because like I feel like everybody I know knows that you're a youth pastor because I feel like I tell them, so they like kind of assume that I already like go to church, and so but then I would say Peter is like great example because it just proves that like anything can happen, like even if like you're the most religious person in the world, like you can still mess up. And so that just like really gives me like a vision of like what can happen.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. And this goes back to what you were saying earlier, is we do make mistakes, right? We do give in sometimes. And how do we recover from that? In your experience, like, what are some things that other teenagers who might be able to listen to this right now, and maybe they're thinking, yeah, I've messed up a lot, I've given in to peer pressure, I've definitely gone against what I want to be. What advice would you give to them in terms of taking steps forward and not being stuck in those mistakes?
Pray.
Pray? Specifically for something, or
Just ask for forgiveness.
I love that. What about you, Jaden? What do you?
Definitely like talk to someone like who, like you or a youth pastor or someone you trust that has a good relationship with God, because they'll be able to like kind of guide you to where you need to go. But yeah, asking for forgiveness but having someone there to help you will definitely make it easier.
Your
Yeah.
accountability partner.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one because, of course, it's between us and God. So I love prayer as the first response, but I love the idea of taking it to somebody else because then there's some accountability there, right? There's somebody else to help us along, to ask us some tough questions. Somebody that we can say, hey, this is where I messed up and I don't want to go there again. Can you help me? Can you ask me about that? Can you check in on me? And we need that sometimes. And I think that that's the beauty of especially being involved in a church family, that you can have those people around you. So, by the way, if you guys happen to watching this and you don't have a church, man, get involved in one. If you need some suggestions, you can reach out to us through the comments. Maybe you live in El Paso. We'd love for you to come to FCB. FBC. And we'd love for you to get involved with us. But there's also other great churches in our city and around the world. And that's one of the beauties, is being able to have people around you who can be a resource to encourage you and to help you. So we're going to kind of transition and kind of start wrapping things up for this episode. You guys just gave some great advice about recovering from mistakes from when we give in. But let's talk about preparing yourself for those moments in advance. Have you guys had situations where you've decided beforehand how you want to respond when certain pressures, when certain invitations come your way?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
So like at school, in middle school, I was trying to be cool, so I was friends with all the gangsters, right? They all did a bunch of drugs, and I probably shouldn't have been friends with them, but in the morning I'd be like, I know they're gonna ask me, I'm gonna say no when I go to school, and it would happen. So I would always say no, but I just feel like when you know something's gonna happen and you know you can fall, make sure that you like pray about it and you have your set answer that you're not gonna fall. Because if you don't and you like know it's gonna happen, you're kind of already giving in from the moment you know. So.
Yeah.
That's a good point. How about you, baby?
I think going into what he said, I think relying on the Lord's strength in those situations, but actively doing it. You know, I think when I spend time in the morning praying it about my day and for the Lord to lead me, and I've definitely learned that being more consistent with that affects the way I act around people. And just like he said, being firm before you even get put in those situations. Like, Lord, I just pray that as I go to school today, I'm a light for you in my words and in my actions. And I think that in actions is a big one. Just even if you've fallen short, even if you've misrepresented Christ, like showing up in your actions, it doesn't have to be a huge thing. Like, okay, guys, I'm sorry that I did that. Let me apologize. I don't want to be seen that way. I think it's like, okay, well, next time just act differently, reflect Christ.
Yeah.
And pray for that strength, because at the end of the day, we're faulty. So
Yeah.
relying on the Lord for that is really helpful.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Josiah?
For me, I feel like I always like play scenarios in my head. Like I try to like predict the future or something, and
Daredevil.
I get like a lot of deja vu, and so like I always feel like I already know what's gonna happen, and then like I just like follow the script that like was in my head. So like
That's crazy.
I just go with that.
That's cool that you actually do that.
That is cool. Let me pull youth pastor for a moment and give you guys a few tips, or those who are listening, some practical strategies that I think really help you to stand firm in the moment, no matter what pressures you face. First thing is choose your friends wisely. The people around you are going to influence you, and the people you allow into your life to have that influence, you got to be careful with that. Now, that doesn't mean like resisting people or being distant. It just means be careful of who you let influence you and recognize the influence on their life. I just remember there's certain people in my life at different ages. This isn't just when I was a teen, even now, there's certain people that I think are so cool, and like if they do something, it has more influence than maybe the next guy, right? And so I have to watch that, because those guys aren't necessarily doing the things that I want to be. So you have to really choose your friends and watch for the influence in their life.
There's
Go ahead.
actually like a really cool analogy for that. So I kind of use it a lot. It's a boat in water. It's like the Lord calls us to be friends with people who don't know him. That's his ministry. That's our goal, is to share him with others.
Mm-hmm.
But being on a boat in water and not letting the water come in, it's like you're dishing things out, you're influencing them, you're fishing, you're doing all the things, you're bringing people to church, bringing them to Christ, but being sure that when you're doing that, you're not allowing the water to get in the boat, and allowing their actions that may or may not be honoring to God influence you in the way that you act.
Yeah, that's good. Boat in water.
Yeah.
All right, so another thing that I always recommend is, we talked about it a minute ago, decide your values beforehand. If you're in middle school right now, you know that you're going to be introduced to things like vaping, drugs, parties. Those are happening in middle school already. Decide beforehand. Just be like, you know what? I don't need those things, right? When you get to high school, those pressures become stronger. They become more common, right? But if you learn to say no in middle school, then it's going to be easier to say no in high school. Jaden, you're already experiencing the college life, even as a 16-year-old, and you told me earlier that everyone in college is doing drugs, So as you get older, some of those pressures become more common. But if you learn to say no early, it becomes easier to say no as you move forward. And I think one of the other strategies that I told my kids this growing up is have an out phrase, a way out of a situation. And you can blame me, I would tell them. Like, just say, man, my parents would kill me if they found out I did that. Like, blame me, right? Like, have an out phrase. So you can say, my parents would kill me, or I'm too cool for that. That might sound cheesy, but like,
Sorry about that
have
one.
an out phrase. Like,
You got a side part. You can't be too.
Cut it out.
Bad. That side part. Just
Haunts you.
You did, Zach.
so I don't know, just find a phrase that you can decide beforehand. Like, hey, if I get into a situation and there's a temptation to do something that I don't want to do, here's the phrase I'm going to use, and I'm going to get out of it. Like, no shame in that, right? And then finally, remember who you belong to. And I think of Galatians chapter 1, verse 10. Are we trying to please God or man? And I know that's tough. Like, I know in real life, like, it's so easy to just be like, man, I really want their admiration. I want to fit in with them. I want them to think I'm cool. But when we recognize God's authority in our life, then we realize that his approval matters way more than another 15-year-old or another 17-year-old that's in our lives, right? How can we focus on pleasing God instead of men? And I think if we have that mentality, it helps us to move forward. So I just want to challenge you guys, if you don't have any of those strategies about standing up to peer pressure, implement one of those and find an example in the Bible that relates to you. Do a Google search or something, like examples in the Bible of standing up to temptation, or examples in the Bible of resisting peer pressure. Read those stories. Daniel, Peter, Joseph. There's many others. And pick one that you relate to and use that as a guide for you. So as we close up today, we're going to have you guys fill in the blank, okay? So Josiah, I'm going to start with you. Following Jesus cost me blank, but it gave me blank. How would you fill in those?
I would say it cost me like basically nothing, and then it like gave me like a person to look up to.
Awesome. Cool. Jesus is our example. That's amazing. Jaden, I knew I was being shaped by the wrong things when.
I didn't want to read my Bible when I got home anymore. It's just like, cause like reading my Bible is something I make sure I do, and then in school, in high school, I was like, man, do I really need to read the Bible? Like, I could just pray. And no, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
The Bible's like literally tells you everything you need to do. So,
Amen to that. That's true. All right, Bailey, the hardest no I ever said was.
The hardest no I ever said. I think hanging around some friends I was really close with. Just because the things that they were doing, the things they were watching, things that I would be surrounded with in that situation, I really wanted to be there. I wanted to hang out with them, but I also knew the things that were going to happen. So it was hard saying no to being with them and having that fun,
Yeah.
but it worked out in the end. So
Yeah.
I know that the Lord gave me that kind of like, no, let's not do that.
Yeah, that's relatable. I think we can all feel that. So the pressure is real. And as we wrap up today, we know that we're never going to escape from peer pressure. There's always going to be pressures to do certain things that are going to go against God because we live in a fallen world. We live in a sinful world. But I think that take home is find a strategy that works for you. Find people who will support you in your life. Go to God when you make mistakes. Don't get stuck in those mistakes. Move forward in it and be a world changer. So we're going to wrap things up for this episode. Josiah, thanks for joining us. Jaden, thank you for joining us. Bailey, we'll see you on the next episode. And we'll see you guys on the next episode as we continue talking about issues that are affecting youth, but how they can be world changers and overcome them. God bless you guys.
peace.
Goodbye.
Oh my Lord.